We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston in the studio today. Across from me is Pam Denham. Pam is an expert in customer service, leads customer service workshops, seminars, training classes all over the country, all over the state, and in her home here in Mobile, Alabama. Pam, prior to the break, we were talking about technology. There's no doubt that technology has influenced, perhaps some would say for better, some would say for worse, the customer service experience. Tell me, what's your take on it?
Well, I think that it definitely has helped a lot. It's the way people think now, and it is what it is, but it does not replace the human touch. It does not replace connecting with people. So I think that there's a balance that's important. I know more and more physician practices are just really going all digital. You can text an appointment. You can do all of those things. So all the more reason when we do have that FaceTime to go above and beyond and make sure that they know we're not forgetting who they are and that we're there to meet their needs.
I tell many of the managers that I work with in my seminar business that due to the prevalence of technology and the so many different ways that I can communicate with different people that is not face-to-face, it makes each of the face-to-face interactions that more important because of the huge impact these conversations have. I can communicate the vast majority of my work via email, via texts, via all these different things, which makes the interpersonal communication even more important and even more vulnerable to mistakes because it happens so less frequently that my impressions are formed in these very few interpersonal interactions. So I could certainly see how someone who is entering a building, a workplace, etc., and it's been entirely technology-driven, the communication to this point has been entirely technology-driven, how that first interaction with the person across the desk could make or break the future of that relationship.
Definitely.
Yeah. So is there, what is your advice to someone who's behind the desk, or let's take a retail environment perhaps, about technology? It's omnipresent. It's ever present everywhere we go. What do you tell them to do?
Well, there's a really good little trick to this that makes a difference. It's called sandwiching the communication, whether it's verbal communication or it's digital. And you always enter at a human level. So it should just be standard that this is how they do it. Hello, Pam. I hope you're having a great day. We look forward to seeing you. This is your appointment. Even if it's a template, that you enter at the human level, you go to the business at hand, and then you exit on a human level.
So let me recap that. Enter at the human level means simply what? Greet somebody, acknowledge them, say their name?
As a human being.
Yeah.
You say their name, and you mention something that humans would say in person.
Uh-huh.
If it's a digital communication, then you go to the business at hand, and then you exit and say, have a beautiful day. Hope you're enjoying the spring weather. We look forward to seeing you soon. And you say your name.
So that's a voicemail. That's an email. That's a text message.
Yes.
Human, business, human.
And if there's a problem, something that has happened, you go back to the human level. You don't stay at the business at hand. You go back to the human level. You acknowledge what's going on, that it matters, and then you go back to the business at hand. But you always keep going back to that human communication.
Let's talk about resolving problems. I mean, that's so much a part of everybody's experience or impression is on how we fix problems. What is your advice? So you've told me a little bit about it, but assume I walk into your office and I'm a customer and I've had a bad experience. I have an issue of some sort. How do you diffuse this situation? How do you make me a fan at that point?
Well, the first thing you do is listen. And then I do teach dealing with difficult personalities, difficult situations, and resolving those. And one of the things that is key is after you've listened to them, you take 3 seconds. It's called a 3-second rule. These are simple principles that apply to everything. 3 seconds before you go back into the conversation. That shows, again, respect to that person that you're thinking about what they've told you, and you're coming up with some really good resolutions, things that may work, and they see that you're putting time into that. And then you go back into it thinking about what's in it for them. Again, what do they need? What is important? And then the second thing, going back into it, that you do, you think about the end in mind. You keep the end. What am I wanting to achieve here? What are they needing to keep the end in mind versus staying in the issue, focus on the solution and the end in mind.
How important is winning? Someone comes in, they've got an issue and you want to say, hey, this isn't a problem. Or you caused the problem, or you've misinterpreted the situation and you want to win the conversation. You want to claim a victory with this customer. Obviously, that customer is going to leave unhappy. So is that something that you feel like most people want to do, and that is they want to win? They want to win, and ultimately they long-term lose.
They want to win. They want to defend versus, again, the end in mind, which is a solution to that customer's needs.
Yeah.
And it's communicating that and being willing to jiggle it. They call that moment of truth. How willing are you when a situation starts going downhill to juggle some things, to show them you're willing to resolve the issue? And that is true customer service, keeping that in mind.
So I love the 3-second pause. You had a term for that. What was that term?
A 3-second rule.
Just the 3-second rule. So you listen and you take 3 seconds prior to replying.
Yes.
And in those 3 seconds, it's communicating to the other person, I am thinking, I'm processing, I'm trying to come back with something that will work for us. And in those 3 seconds, you are thinking, all right, let's keep the goal in mind. The goal is not to win. The goal is to resolve and to make happy. I remember hearing one time, there's the expression, the customer is always right. And someone said, that is not accurate. The customer is the king and the queen, but it doesn't mean they're always right. Address that for me.
Well, I agree. I think that it's that mentality and you keep that in mind as well when you're responding, that they know that they are the most important thing going on in that moment. And so when you take that 3-second rule, you go back in, not reacting, but responding. So the verbiage that you use is that you're responding. You confirm that you heard them in a non-patronizing way. Mm-hmm. Saying, I understand can be good sometimes, but it also can be patronizing.
Yeah.
Especially to different generations.
Right.
And going back in, responding to what their issue is and talking about solutions and letting them know what you plan to do.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of a time you saw this work out real well?
Well, I have. When we've had physicians that have been behind on their schedule and a patient comes in and they're there on time early for their appointment. And this is a common thing with physician practices. Something that they're always working on is wait time. Sometimes it's in their control, sometimes it's not. It depends on the team. And sometimes there are emergencies that arise that are out of their control. So knowing that this is a regular thing, that person comes in, they check in, this situation in particular, which is something we work with physician practices on, how they handle it. And they come back up, okay, I've been waiting here this long. So what they're learning to do is communicate. Don't make them just sit and wait. Communicate. Okay, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Your time is so important. It may be another 20 minutes. Would you like to reschedule, or do you mind waiting?
Right.
Because we'd love to go ahead and take care of you today so you don't have to reschedule and come back again. So always making it not about the physician that's behind and why, but about that patient who is the customer.
Yeah. And I think when we talk customer service and we talk about medical practices, wait times is a part of every of those conversations. That's table stakes when you go to the doctor, is you're going to wait. But how that experience is handled, I guess, is the issue. So I know yes. I'm going to show up on time on the rare occasion that the doctor's running on time, but I'm likely going to leave there much later than I had anticipated. And being told at the outset is a big part of that. That this
very much.
Yeah.
It's respect once again.
Yes. Do you feel, we're kind of in the world of medical practices in this conversation right now. The doctor, him or herself, apologizing for the wait time is appropriate, or should that be done at the front desk?
Everyone should do it.
No kidding.
Every single person that they come into contact with should do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about, I see we've shared some notes here, delivering 5-star customer service. And one of the things in chapter 4 or workshop number 4 that you offer is called authenticity and a service mindset. Jump into that for me. What does that mean?
Really, they're just the basic things, again, that go back to how we were raised, those core things that people need to hear and believe. And authenticity is so important. So again, really listening shows authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
And communicating what you heard and responding, making sure they see that you're communicating with your team and that you're placing importance, that they take their eyes off the computer screen or their phone and they're looking up at you when you're talking or when the team members are working to resolve situations.
Yeah. So in the authenticity, it sounds like it comes back to eye contact again. It comes back to body language.
Well, it really does. And another key part of this is we are all going to make mistakes.
Yeah, but we're going to make mistakes. So the music's coming up. It means it's time for a break. When we come back, I want to get into that a little bit more. And let's talk about what it looks like. You're listening to What's Working. We'll be right back.